What happens when the world refuses to see your brilliance? Do you give up, or do you rise and redefine the rules? This is the inspiring journey of a Black designer who was once ignored by luxury brands, but now stuns the academy with a fashion line that changes everything. From the moment she sketched her first dress in the worn notebook her grandmother gave her, Amara knew fashion was more than fabric and thread. It was her voice. Growing up in a small, vibrant neighborhood, she dreamt of seeing her designs shimmer under the brightest spotlights, dazzling on red carpets around the world. But the road from dreams to runway was anything but smooth. After graduating top of her class from one of the country's most prestigious fashion schools, Amara stepped confidently into the world of luxury fashion, believing talent alone would open doors. Yet the reality hit her hard. The glittering fashion houses and elite designers she admired turned a cold shoulder. Invitations to exclusive fittings never came. Stylists and brand executives dismissed her with polite nods, but no opportunities. It was as if an invisible wall blocked her path, a barrier built not of talent or creativity, but of something deeper, something unspoken. She heard the whispers behind closed doors. Too risky, not our aesthetic. The market won't respond. It wasn't her designs they questioned. It was her. The unyielding bias in a world obsessed with exclusivity and sameness kept her out. For every runway she dreamed of, another door slammed shut. Even the fashion magazines she idolized refused to feature her work, leaving her art to gather dust in her small studio. But Amara wasn't just any designer. She was fire and resilience stitched into every seam of her being. Her designs weren't just clothes. They were stories, a celebration of her heritage, her struggles, and her vision of beauty that defied conventional standards. She poured soul into every piece, blending tradition with modernity, vibrant colors with bold shapes. Yet the rejection stung deeply. It challenged not just her career, but her very identity as an artist. Was the world truly ready for her? Could she carve a place for herself where others had failed to see her worth? One chilly autumn night, alone in her studio, Amara stared at the sketches pinned to the wall, her dreams waiting to come alive. The silence pressed in, but so did a fierce spark. If the world wouldn't give her a chance, she'd make one herself. This was just the beginning. The next morning, Amara stepped into the dazzling, cutthroat world of high fashion once again. But the cold reality was waiting. She attended meetings in glass-walled boardrooms, sat through casting calls, and nervously waited in endless lobbies where power players whispered in clipped tones behind her back. Despite her talent, she was invisible. One day at a prestigious fashion event, she watched from the sidelines as celebrated designers were handed glowing praise and coveted contracts. The very same stylists who had once brushed her off now flaunted their access with effortless charm. Amara's name was never even whispered. She recalled the countless emails that went unanswered, the polite but dismissive calls where promises were made and broken. "We'll keep you in mind for the next season," they said, but it was always a lie. Invitations to private fittings, luxury gala collaborations, and runway shows remained distant dreams. The sting of rejection wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. At a luxury boutique where she hoped to pitch her designs, a renowned stylist barely glanced at her portfolio. "Your aesthetic is different," the stylist said, eyes flickering with thinly veiled judgment. "We usually don't feature emerging designers without proven clientele." The message was clear. She wasn't proven because she wasn't accepted. A vicious cycle that drained her spirit. Late nights blurred into early mornings as Amara wrestled with doubt. Was her vision too bold? Was the industry's narrow definition of beauty and elegance the real barrier? She faced microaggressions that felt like invisible chains, underestimations wrapped in polite smiles, opportunities withheld without explanation. Yet beneath the frustration, a stubborn flame burned. Every rejection became a quiet vow. If they wouldn't lift her up, she'd build her own ladder. She began attending grassroots fashion events, connecting with other artists who faced the same invisible walls. She shared her work on social media, gaining a modest but fiercely loyal following that celebrated her authenticity. Amara's journey was no longer about waiting for a seat at the table. It was about creating her own space. One stitch, one design, one courageous step at a time. When the doors of the elite fashion world slammed shut, Amara didn't retreat. She forged a new path. With a heart full of fierce determination and a sketchbook bursting with ideas, she launched her own fashion line. It was raw, unapologetic, and infused with the rich colors and stories of her heritage. No longer waiting for permission, she became the architect of her own destiny. Her small apartment doubled as a bustling studio. By day, she hunted for fabric in local markets, fingers tracing every texture, every thread, looking for the perfect match to bring her vision to life. By night, she transformed those fabrics under the harsh glow of a single lamp, stitching dreams into reality with painstaking care. Each piece told a story, bold patterns that echoed her ancestors' art, cuts that challenged convention, and details that whispered of resilience and grace. Amara's first runway wasn't at a glossy, star-studded event, but a community center buzzing with energy and hope. The audience was small but passionate. Friends, neighbors, and fellow creators hungry to see something real, something new. As models glided down the modest runway, the crowd erupted in applause. The vibrant colors and fearless designs were a revelation, a breath of fresh air in a world suffocated by sameness. Social media became her megaphone. She posted behind-the-scenes clips, shared stories of her struggle and triumph, and invited followers into her creative world. Slowly the buzz grew. Influencers and fashion bloggers started tagging her, praising her originality and heart. Orders trickled in, then poured. Women and men who had long craved designs that reflected their identity found a champion in Amara. Yet success didn't come without sacrifice. Sleepless nights and relentless pressure tested her resolve. Financial worries loomed large, but every challenge was met with unshakable spirit. Amara wasn't just creating clothes, she was building a movement. Word spread beyond her neighborhood, catching the attention of industry insiders who could no longer ignore the force she was becoming. Amara was no longer waiting in the shadows. She was lighting the way, one fearless stitch at a time. It happened on a night that seemed like any other. But for Amara, it would become the turning point she had long fought for. A rising Hollywood actress, known for her bold choices and outspoken voice, discovered Amara's designs online. Intrigued by the fearless mix of heritage and modernity, the actress reached out, requesting a custom gown for an upcoming awards show. The news hit Amara like a lightning bolt. This wasn't just a client. It was a chance to be seen on a stage she'd only dreamed of. She poured every ounce of creativity and emotion into the gown, a masterpiece of shimmering gold fabric woven with intricate hand-embroidered patterns that told stories of strength and beauty. It was more than a dress, it was a statement. The night of the awards arrived and cameras flashed relentlessly as the actress stepped onto the red carpet. The crowd gasped, captivated by the breathtaking gown that seemed to glow under the lights. Social media exploded. Photographers hailed it as the dress of the night, fashion critics buzzed with admiration, and hashtags with Amara's name trended worldwide. For the first time, Amara's work was no longer just admired in niche circles. It was commanding attention on the grandest stage. The breakthrough was seismic. Luxury brands that had once dismissed her now whispered her name in boardrooms and editorial meetings. Stylists who turned her away were suddenly curious. Could this be the next big thing? But more than the sudden spotlight, what moved Amara most was the wave of support from those who saw themselves reflected in her designs. Young Black girls shared videos of themselves trying to sketch dresses like hers. Communities that had long been sidelined cheered for a new kind of representation, bold, unapologetic, and proud. Yet amidst the newfound fame, Amara stayed grounded. She remembered the endless nights of doubt, the rejections, the fierce determination to keep going. This breakthrough was not an endpoint, but a spark, a catalyst for what was still to come. With her name now echoing in the halls of fashion, Amara knew the next challenge was bigger: to shatter the glass ceiling entirely and carve a permanent place for herself and others like her on the world's biggest runways. The phone call came on an ordinary Thursday afternoon, but Amara's world shifted in an instant. The voice on the other end belonged to one of Hollywood's top stylists, the very gatekeepers of the red carpet elite. The message was clear and electrifying. Amara had been invited to dress not one, but multiple celebrities for the upcoming Oscars. For years, she had dreamed of this moment, but hearing it aloud made it surreal. The same industry that once dismissed her, that ignored her talent and turned its back, was now offering her a coveted seat at the table. Invitations that once felt like cruel illusions were finally real. But this wasn't just a triumph, it was a test. The stakes were higher than ever. The Oscars red carpet was the ultimate stage, where every gown was dissected under the unforgiving glare of millions of eyes worldwide. The pressure was immense. Every stitch, every fold had to be flawless. Failure was unthinkable. Amara threw herself into her work with a fierce, unyielding focus. She crafted gowns that were breathtaking in their artistry, melding luxury with bold cultural symbolism, shimmering fabrics that caught the light like stars, and silhouettes that redefined elegance. Each piece told a story not only of beauty, but of resilience, history, and triumph. As the event approached, whispers rippled through the fashion world. Industry insiders who once scoffed now watched nervously, some with envy, others with awe. Luxury brands that had ignored her were suddenly studying her every move, unsure how to respond to this rising force. On Oscars night, the world's most glamorous stage, Amara's gowns took the spotlight. Celebrities graced the red carpet adorned in her designs, drawing gasps and flashes from photographers. Critics praised her vision as revolutionary. Social media exploded with admiration and surprise. The designer they refused to dress was now the one everyone was talking about. But for Amara, the moment was bittersweet. She had shattered ceilings, but the journey had just begun. She wasn't just there to dazzle. She was there to change the game forever. The night of the Oscars arrived like a lightning storm, electric, charged, impossible to ignore. As Hollywood's elite descended onto the red carpet, all eyes turned to the gowns that would define the evening. But this time, something was different, something bold, something unforgettable. Amara's creations were more than clothes. They were statements of power and grace, woven with stories that resonated far beyond the glitz. Each gown shimmered under the flashing cameras, gold embroidery that caught the light like flames, deep jewel tones that seemed to hold centuries of heritage, and daring cuts that challenged tradition without sacrificing elegance. As the stars posed, photographers erupted into a frenzy. "Who designed that?" they asked, the question echoing through media rooms and social feeds alike. The answer was Amara, a name once whispered in doubt, now shouted with reverence. Celebrities glided past in her gowns, their confidence amplified by the bold designs. Reporters and fashion critics raced to capture every detail. Vogue ran a cover story praising the revolutionary spirit behind the line. Social media exploded, with hashtags trending worldwide, celebrating Amara's breathtaking debut. But the impact went deeper than fashion. For so many watching, especially young Black women and girls, Amara's designs were a beacon of possibility. They saw themselves reflected in the rich colors and bold silhouettes, proof that beauty could be expansive, inclusive, and unapologetic. Backstage, Amara felt a surge of emotion. The journey from rejection to reverence played vividly in her mind. The cold dismissals, the endless nights, the moments when giving up seemed easier. Now, the industry that once sidelined her was forced to confront a new reality. Amara wasn't just a designer. She was a trailblazer rewriting the rules. Luxury brands scrambled to respond, sending tentative offers and veiled compliments. But Amara knew this night was more than a personal victory. It was a call to arms. Her stunning reveal was the opening act of a revolution in fashion. As the cameras faded and the applause echoed, Amara's gaze hardened with resolve. This was just the beginning. The world had seen her light, and now there was no turning back. Amara's dazzling success on the Oscars red carpet wasn't just a personal triumph. It was a seismic shift that rippled through the fashion world's deepest corners. The industry had long clung to tradition, exclusivity, and a narrow definition of beauty. But Amara's rise shattered those confines, igniting conversations and challenging old power structures. Her phone began ringing, not just with business inquiries, but with invitations to speak at conferences, mentor emerging designers, and join industry panels. Suddenly, Amara found herself not only a creator, but a leader, a voice demanding change in an arena that had resisted it for too long. With every interview and keynote, she spoke candidly about the barriers she faced, the invisible walls built by bias, the erasure of Black designers, and the urgent need for diversity beyond token gestures. Her message resonated deeply, inspiring a new generation of designers who saw in her the possibility of breaking through their own glass ceilings. But Amara didn't stop there. She launched initiatives to amplify underrepresented voices, creating scholarships for Black fashion students, and partnering with organizations focused on equity in creative industries. Her fashion line became a platform for storytelling, each collection a celebration of culture, history, and resilience. Luxury brands that once ignored her scrambled to catch up, offering partnerships and collaborations, but Amara was selective. She knew that true change required more than just lip service. It demanded commitment, respect, and authentic inclusion. She chose allies carefully, building relationships with those willing to dismantle old systems rather than simply profit from her success. Her growing influence sent shockwaves through the industry's hierarchy. The old guard watched uneasily as Amara's vision redefined what it meant to be fashionable: bold, inclusive, and unapologetically authentic. The red carpets began to reflect more diverse stories, and the narrative of fashion started to shift. Amara's journey was no longer just about one designer's success. It was about a movement, an undeniable call for change that would forever alter the landscape of fashion. She had not only claimed her place, but was fiercely paving the way for those who would come after. And in that, Amara knew she had truly changed the game. Years after that unforgettable Oscars night, Amara stood in her expansive studio, surrounded by racks of gowns that told a story far greater than fashion. Each stitch, each silhouette, bore witness to a journey of defiance, resilience, and triumph. She was no longer the designer who fought for a place. She was a symbol, a trailblazer whose legacy had reshaped the industry. Her influence had blossomed into a movement. The scholarships she'd established had launched countless young Black designers into the spotlight, their voices now echoing proudly on runways worldwide. Her mentorship programs empowered a new generation to dream boldly and break barriers, their creativity unshackled by the limits she once faced. Luxury brands that once dismissed her now sought her counsel on diversity and inclusion initiatives, eager to learn how to authentically evolve. But Amara remained discerning, fiercely protective of the authenticity she'd fought so hard to preserve. She understood that true legacy wasn't just measured by accolades or celebrity endorsements, it was measured by lasting change. The fashion industry's landscape had transformed. Red carpets blossomed with vibrant, diverse designs, reflecting a kaleidoscope of cultures and stories. The narrow gatekeepers had given way to a chorus of voices, each demanding representation and respect. And at the heart of this revolution was Amara's unwavering vision. One afternoon, as Amara prepared for the unveiling of her newest collection, a tribute to the women who inspired her, she paused to reflect. The journey from a young designer dismissed by luxury brands to a dominant force on the world's grandest stages had been arduous, filled with sacrifice and moments of doubt. Yet every obstacle had fueled her fire. She smiled softly, knowing her story had become a beacon for those still fighting to be seen. Her legacy was more than gowns or accolades. It was a testament to the power of perseverance and the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to be silenced. As the first model stepped onto the runway, wearing her latest creations with confidence and pride, Amara felt a profound sense of peace. The world had finally embraced her vision, and in that embrace, her legacy was secured, etched forever into the fabric of fashion history. From rejection to revolution, Amara proved that true greatness isn't given, It's fought for, stitched with courage, and worn with pride. Her legacy is a blazing reminder. When you refuse to be invisible, you don't just change your story, you transform the world.